Morning Three Keys Astrology members and anyone else who loves astrology that's listening. I'm Lori, founder of Three Keys Astrology, and you're invited to come to our private Facebook group. And if you want to order my services, everything that I have is available at my website, threekeysastrology.com. My services are offered with the ability to pay by PayPal. So you just click the button, input your information, your birth details, and there's a form, at the bottom of the page that will give you the opportunity to do that. And then once I receive payment and your information, and the kind of reading that you prefer, I'll email your information. You'll receive your reading by email, where you can print it and keep it forever and look at it and reflect on it and then go back to it. A lot of information absorbed slowly and over time really sinks to your heart. So today I want to talk about our sun is in Cancer, opposing the really hard malefics, Pluto and Saturn in Capricorn, where Jupiter is, who's normally very beneficial and a blessing to us, but he exaggerates the energy. And so we know people who do stuff like that. Bigger, better, bolder. That's what his rays are doing to Pluto, that at this time is about death and destruction. And it can come all of a sudden. We can be losing people that we didn't expect to lose all of a sudden because of the energy right now. But overall, and please comment below to see if you're feeling this and in tune to the energies. There's a bit of a container feeling, as though we're in a bowl of Tupperware and it's being held kind of still and kind of stagnant. And so please don't beat yourself up if you're feeling like you should be doing things. Actually, try to eliminate that word from your vocabulary throughout 2020. I've said over and over again, this is no time to really be embarking brand new things. It's time to repair and care for things that need repair and care. And the reason I'm doing this video is I watched the most interesting interview yesterday because of the person being interviewed. And I think that because the sun is in Cancer right now and Mercury's in Cancer, very loving and very moon-toned, a time when we should be thoughtful and contemplative and considering the feelings of others and really, really listening. And if you're someone who's got trouble being a listener, it's kind of a byproduct of our fast-paced society and survival mode, by necessity attitudes. We really don't have time to sit still. Now, the two places on earth that you can go to are the library and church, if they're open where you live. And the reason I wanted to do this video is because the energy is, like I said, so contained, and the prevalent feeling of wonder and likely fear, which I ask you, if you're not faithful, if you aren't devoted to anything spiritual, today can be a brand new day for you to do that. I think people that have faith and believe in God live life a lot easier and solve problems a lot better and are more thoughtful and considerate when you've never had religious instruction and never been brought up in any kind of faith. So when we have these kind of contained feelings, this is a great time to get out your Bible. It's a great time to read. It's a great time to sleep. It's a great time to be tender with each other. And the reason for this video, like I said, it was inspired by an interview I saw, and a man in particular whom all of us in astrology owe a great amount of debt and gratitude to. And we use his creations every single day and we don't even know his name. And the thing that struck me most about him, not, okay, sorry, my intuition and my mental processes don't, are jumping the track here. Okay, so intuitively, I had this feeling of kind of like he was a big, comfortable chair to listen. And that's something that, I'm sorry I got off on a tangent. We don't listen. We really are bad listeners. And this is something that we can encourage in our children. That, like I've said before, the babies being born now are evolved of a much higher plane than when we were born or our grandparents were born. And they're going to be very inquisitive and very, very smart if they had proper maternal nourishment in the womb and blessed by good genetics. So is listening and being quiet are two very underrated, valuable tools in modern day life. As fast as the world's spinning, the slower you are, the more thoughtful you are, the more you listen, the better your life will be. And so, this video is dedicated to the quiet people in our life, and you have so much to learn from them. So, if you're a fire sign, or any of your three keys are on fire, or you have a stellium in fire, this is very foreign energy to you. You're a dynamo, so you are not the best listeners. In fact, you suck at listening, to be frank. And you are always in a hurry and always on the go. This is true of the air signs too. But for Aquarius, who's not as, who's more thoughtful than Gemini or Libra. And I'm not saying that you're not kind. Please don't misunderstand. I'm saying ability to listen. Gemini's too busy gathering information and wants to learn so much that it doesn't have great study habits and it doesn't have great absorption potential. It's scattered and flying. Oh, I know this and I know they know a little bit about everything, but not a lot about a whole lot. Because, and depending on, this is general, if the person's got Pluto in a really strong Scorpio, that's not true because they are capable of deep and very contemplative thought. But in general, if the chart's really airy, if the person, I should say, the chart's only a tool for to analyze. And that brings me to the person that I'm talking about. Astro.com's founder, Alois Triendl, is a remarkable man. And Swiss, Belgium, German, that blend of culture is his ancestry. And during this interview, so all of us, people that don't own their own astrology software, often use the services at Astro.com. And this genius, who earned himself a PhD because he's got a Mercury in Aquarius, and is very Aquarian, very futuristic for his time, and brilliant. And he's someone who values, he would talk about state of the art, spending thousands and thousands of dollars back in the 70s for the finest computers. But he's a programmer. And it is because of him that we all have, to the access of our fingertips, a chart within minutes. And the computing that took is staggering. But he is the kind of man I'm talking about today, self-contained, And 4 or 5 times during the interview, he said, I like being behind the scenes. And this is a characteristic so undervalued, but so precious in so many people, that they're not the protagonist. They're not the leading lady or the leading man. They're the set designers, and they're the production staff, and they're the writer for the play, or the creator, or the writer, the author of the story that comes to life cinematic. They're introverted. So Alois Triendl um, had this, as I said, intuitively his energy was like this big, cushy chair. And since I was a little girl, I've always been attracted to those kind of people. I like somebody that's a little bit chubby and cozy to snuggle into. And I like somebody that's quieter and not so busy and so active and so all over the place. And he has this nature, this, and it was very paternal. But interestingly, and we'll get into that. Let me grab his chart. Actually, I couldn't wait to analyze his chart after I heard the interview. Anyway, he over and over said 4 or 5 times with a delicious accent, and I love accents. I'm happy to be behind the scenes. So I have a brand new grandson that has this energy, and I knew it the day he was born because I'm an astrologer. And if you want your brand new babies to get readings for them, oh my God, yes, I certainly can tell you about the personality of your little one and the things that he'll like and the things that he won't like. So I am very maternal. I'm a mama 3 times over, and I have 2 little grandchildren, and I am crazy about babies. They're my favorite people on the earth. 2-year-olds, actually. I love little babies too, but my very favorite age is 2. So no matter what age the person is, I can read for anyone. So order birth chart readings for your little ones. But back to Alois Triendl. So he was born in 1950 in March, and his sun is in Pisces. And automatically, all of the people, all of the water signs have a tendency to be more, and I'm speaking in generalities because a person's chart tells the entire story of someone's personality and their biological imprint, and the way that they'll operate in life. So these quiet people that we adore, Pisces for sure, Cancer absolutely, Scorpio yes, Virgo okay all the way. We don't want to be in the spotlight. We are the little doozers and the workers and the people behind the scenes. We do the things that are necessary for the people who want to be center stage or to be the spokespeople in the world or leadership positions. We are the people that oil the wheels that keep the engine running. And so necessary, so undervalued, so underpaid. Um, so at this time, if embody that, even if you're a fire sign and it's unlike you, you might be feeling a little bit extra tired. Remember, we just had 3 eclipses. So when you talk about people that have introverted personalities, we see things such as the 3 keys in any of those signs I just mentioned, all the water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, especially Pisces, and Virgo. Capricorn, I guess I would say, leans a little more introverted. And depending on the other factors in the chart, Aquarius doesn't need a stage. This is a really uh, brainiac sign, the genius sign. And of course, no, not every Aquarius is genius, but his potential to be is a lot better than some of the other signs. So astrologers notice we read energy, and some of us that are energy healers have a little leg up on how important that is and what it means, because energy is contagious. So right now, while the energy in the heavens is in this sort of container space, which makes us feel not so outgoing and not so, I mean, we might be getting mad at ourselves because we're feeling a little lazy or a little foggy or like not sure what the next step should be. And that's quite all right. There's too much emphasis put on, we expect our little ones that have never left home yet and never experienced life yet to know at the graduation date what they're going to be for the rest of their lives. And this is ridiculous. And we even are so focused on what we're supposed to be that we're even imagining our children when they're 4 and 5 to be future blah blah blahs. Oh, he's a doctor and that'll be a pharmacist and and it's okay to play and be silly and pretend and imagine because that leads to the discovery of if. But I think once we get to 2023, I think we're going to start changing those paradigms. And please get a hold of me when a child is of age and ready to enter the world. That's a great time to gift your children readings because they and the other thing is we also have these perfectionist states, and and a lot of it has to do with the selfie revolution, I think, and the internet explosion of the Facebook in your life and how you want to present things. So there's this perfection expectation, or, I always have to be my best or do my best. If you are quieter and more introverted, you realize that those surface things are not what matters. And so, yeah, we've met some gorgeous people and they were meaner than hell on the inside. And we've met gorgeous, perfect, veneered people that are so programmed that they're breaking down and having nervous breakdowns because they get tired of being fake and phony and always having to dress up. Introverted people don't dress up. They don't wear veneers. They're not trying to impress anyone. Their lives are not about what the public thinks. Their lives are more internal and more central and more focused and soul attached. So the signs for being introverted have to do with a technical aspect that needs deep analysis in astrology called interception. I have this. And when you see people that intercepted houses and their personal planets are involved, especially their sun or their moon, this is a sign of introversion. And this is an intercepted houses are places where your early life wasn't supported by the needs of your soul. And it isn't to put anybody down, parents down. For instance, my mom was a teenager. She was pregnant at age 15 and she barely turned 16 by the time she gave birth to me, the oldest of 3 daughters. And this is back in the 60s where she was forced to quit school. You weren't allowed to be in school and be pregnant in those days, which is absurd. I put a high value on education. So I was a lot more book smart to my mom that never got to graduate high school. But I had this beautiful luxury of I didn't have a mom that was cultured or and I don't I hope you're listening to the way I mean this word because culture is a great thing to have and it's a lovely adventurous experience that enriches your whole life. But I mean it called is what I should say because we're all programmed and we're all brainwashed and we're all have to fit into certain categories, and that's sadly the way life's been established for so long, and it's not going to get better. It's going to get even more, and it's happening right now the minute you click on your internet. All kinds of companies are putting little cookies on your websites and where you travel to go see so they can categorize what you like and what you want. And I mean, astrology is also about typology, and it can be beneficial, but it's not beneficial when it rules your life. And so the good fortune I had as a child was that my mom wasn't world wise. So we had this fresh little teenager that was very energetic and excited about life. And I love the mom that God gave me. the things, but for me, someone who's scholarly and a bookworm, my mom wasn't a bookworm. My mom never read, not even magazines. She was very active though. And I have a Mars and Aries, so I absolutely loved that part of her because I'm very playful and energetic and liked athletics as well. But the part of me that needed parents that were professors or parents that were researchers didn't exist. I had a father that came from another country, came from Italy, so I'm the firstborn of this Italian background, and my mom was also Italian and Irish, but not bookworms. Neither one of them liked school, and I'm absolutely the opposite. So my intercepted sun, moon, and Mercury and Venus, those are the personal planets. And I would literally be trepid on stage. I love to sing, and our choir teacher loved my voice and would try ask me to be a soloist, and I would be terrified. I love to sing. What I didn't love, and this wasn't anything I learned. My family sure wasn't trying to put me on stage. Um, I didn't belong there. And I struggled really hard, and I still do. Even making videos is not such a favorite thing for me. So we see introversion and shyness when we see in the chart um, people that like to work behind the scenes, people of those water signs, people that have interceptions in their chart. When there are a lot of retrograde planets, and that often happens in the outer planets which influence the inner planets, they have a gravitational pull on what's going on in your personal life. So, if somebody's got a Mercury in retrograde, this can indicate somebody that learns a little differently, needs to have more time to learn, is a little bit slower, a little bit shy, or not so willing to talk. If Mars is in retrograde, this is a person that's not gonna. He might be the best athlete ever, but he's so shy, he won't perform. He won't go to those competitions. If it's um Venus in retrograde, this is someone that wants to be loved, that is very lovable, but they're a little bit scared to ask for what they need or to show love or to initiate it, and for intimacy reasons. The other thing that we've talked about Saturn, and if you're new to my channel or our astrology group, Three Keys Astrology, go view the video about Scrooge and Mrs. Johnson to get a feel of what Saturn's like, or people with heavy Capricorn, their energy. That energy is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn's cold. It's the sign in December. The constellation when the month that correlates is December, the cold of winter, if you live in the States or above the equator, and in Europe above the equator, and all Asia and all around the world, anything above. So cold and scarcity and dry cold. Think dry sense of humor, no humor at all. Lack, the forbidden, the rules, the regulations, the laws. He's kind of the prison warden of the astrological characterology, and so if your sun or moon, the lights, your vitality and the way you shine and your inner glow, the moon, your outer glow, the sun, if those things are in a compromising position to Saturn, you'll have somebody who's reluctant to show his true self. Again, introversion. So retrograde, interceptions, water signs, Virgo, Capricorn. We don't want the spotlight. Now, Capricorn is, and don't misunderstand this talk to be about achievement in the world, because it's not about that. It's about your inner self. And so this person whose interview I saw, like I said, intuitively, there was a warmth and the way he sat and held his spot in life was a bit Santa Claus-ish. And so he had a sun in Pisces, which is a really lovely sun. And um, but Pisces isn't so good at building material gain and building. Pisces is really good at imagining how things should be, and they're very good at dreaming up the idea, but they're not very good at making that idea be something. Like they could dream up this great invention of a new way to drive to work every day, and it would be illustrious, and it would have all the details, and it would be like our imaginations would be flying so high and excited about this idea. But he'd be on to the next idea, or smoking a little weed, or playing his guitar, or not following through to call the people that could produce this imagination and make it a real thing. So they're not good at that. Although this person that I'm talking about, who is the founder of Astro.com, where we calculate our charts, so in a moment and within a minute at our fingertips, we could have printed this document for which we astrologers do our work. That's him. So he was born in 1950 on March 7th, and he, by the time, I think it was 1970, yeah, he earned himself a PhD in physics, and he was okay. He didn't get his PhD till 1981, but he started studying computers in 1970. I think he graduated, maybe, yeah, around there. Anyway, he's brilliant. And his Aquarius Mercury, what else does he have? He has Jupiter. Jupiter expands everything that it touches. And so, and Jupiter's high ideals, our moral fiber, our ethical behavior. So he's a man of ethics, and he's gifted brilliance in his natal promises. But he's got this sun that's intercepted in Pisces, and it's opposite Saturn in Virgo. That's hard energy. That's saying, no, I'm not going to let you shine. No, nope, nope, you can't. I don't care if you have the best idea in the whole wide world. We're not going to let you have this. So what we'll see when this happens, Saturn represents maturity and old age. What we'll see when somebody's got Saturn blocking their sun, and I also have this, and it's also very hard, and, it's a bit of a punishment from God saying, nope, you're going to have to wait. Nope, you can't have this till later on in life, or you're going to go through some really hard things, is really what it translates to. And so he, like me, had this. And he mentioned in the interview that he's had a lot of crises and he's had a lot of health issues. But he's done something phenomenal that changed astrology forever. He pioneered this computerized programming because we all did this by hand. It was called the Cosmoground before there was such a thing. And I mean, it was laborious hours and hours and hours to check where the planets were and study the ephemeris. And many mistakes could have been made. But now, at the click of your mouse or the click of your app of your telephone, this is accessible. And that's what Aquarius is going to bring to if you think technology is amazing, and I mean, sometimes we forget to be thankful for people like Alois, think this is pretty mind-boggling. Did you know did not have the internet until 1995? So he's coming up and getting his education and studying and earning his PhD and buying state-of-the-art, the finest. And that's because he's got a Taurus rising sign. And that's the nature, that Santa Clausy, all-encompassing, a little bit chubby, it looks like a comfortable, cushy body that you just want to snuggle into. He has that. He's still alive. Anyway, and slow to speak. And again, repeated 4 or 5 times, I'm the guy behind the scenes. So he partnered and collaborated with people like Liz Green, who was a psychologist and studied human psychology and human anatomy. And she became what popularized their website. And they had standardized readings, which I don't recommend. Anybody can get them, but they're so general. And if you find astrologers that have intuition and, um, uh, well, to each their own, everybody likes different things, but you can get a lot better readings when they're personal and not standardized. So I don't want to denigrate him at all because this is in honor of him. And I mean, I was just awed. And that's the fun once you study astrology. And if you're interested in learning, please DM me in our Facebook group, our private group, 3 Keys Astrology, or my email address. You can ask me anything, Ducky at 3keysastrology.com. I want to start teaching. So please email me if you're interested and at what level you are, and so I can customize how I go about this. But he has a lot of air energy, this person, and that's the moon that we're currently in right now. So our ideas and lighter energy might be wrestling a little. Gemini's also in, Venus is also in Gemini too, with the moon, which is really, really nice for Aries and Gemini people. But we can be a little bit thinking, oh, I should get up and do something, or I should start something, or I'm been lazy, or so there can be a little bit of conflict right now between mind and reality. Um, it's okay to rest, Gemini and Aries. You don't have to be on the go all the time. It's okay to take a jacuzzi. It's okay to sleep in a little bit. You probably need it more than anybody else, but you never give that gift to yourself. So I just wanted this video. Oh my goodness. And I'll do a whole video on this because this is so very important. I started to talk about my grandson. So a lot of us have 12th house planets, planets teneted in the 12th house. And that's another indication of an introvert. People whose planets concentrate below the horizon. If you're looking at the chart, that's actually the northern hemisphere, but it's on the southern part of your astrological chart. That's an indication of introversion. But more than anything is 12th house. And behind the scenes is so very 12th house. People who work behind the scenes have are or work and do contemplative work like researchers or scientists or inventors or quiet's required, solitude's required. My work requires these things. If a busy, if I had, I could not have done this work when I was raising my children. There's too many activities and too much to do and so much going on that it would have been impossible for me to give the quality of work that I'm able to give now because of quiet and solitude. And this is a gift to introverted people. We don't like concerts and amusement parks and crazy fairs and mob gatherings. It's too much for us. We don't like really loud noises or really talkative people or too much superficial. And that's another thing, be careful. Right now, gossip will be flying. We don't like that. We hate that actually. So, I mean, there are some creepy introverted people that might enjoy that, or they can be stalkerish. They don't want you to know that they're at your page every day reading everything that they can about you, or so that's very likely too. You can be introverted and still be creeper, of creeper nature, but you know, I don't know why. If that's your thrill, I don't really understand it, but that's how you want to waste your time. Have at it. Um, so yeah, Alois Triendl, an amazing man. Um, he has an intercepted sun opposite Saturn, which is so much saying, no, I don't want to be in the spotlight. He was so content to collaborate with people that kind of were the forefront. When you go to astro.com, you read Robert Hinn or Liz Green's work, you don't read or even know his name. And he's famous to all of us in astrology. He's a genius. He's brilliant. And he made all of our lives, people all over the world use this. It's the most used astrological website in the world if you don't own your own software. And he's got his ascendant in Taurus. He's got Black Moon Lilith in the 12th house too. So I know that he has some pretty adventurous sensual pleasures as well. And and he definitely likes women. That was way clear the minute I saw him. He's got a lovely air trine. Is this air? No. Oh no. He has a yod. And this is really beautiful too, because though his sun and Saturn are intercepted, they're at the top of the chart, which is an indication of fame. And it took a long time. He didn't, the internet became in 1995, so he couldn't, although he was doing all this work since 1970 and fell in love with astrology and started to learn not interpretation, but how to make calculations and programs for astrology. Techie, scientific, Aquarian. And then because of that Saturn, he had to wait and he had to wait and he had to wait. But now, by the year 2000, 5 years after the internet exploded and became something we could all use, he was at the forefront and started paying for licenses so people couldn't copyright him and steal his hard work. But I just loved that the astrology doesn't lie, it's the truth. And it's a 4,000-year-old divine science that I am so honored to be able to understand, read, and deliver to you. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you appreciate or quiet yourself for the rest of 2020. And one of the things, there are many things to do. After I had a brain injury, I was mostly, I think I'm sure it was a side effect of brain injury, but in my case, I lost what's called your working memory, and it's still not back. And it sucks because it's been 14 years and I loved my abilities before I got hurt, but I would often interrupt people or I'd hold my finger up to try to hang on to remember what I wanted to say in the dynamic of conversation. And I didn't realize probably for 3 years how rude I'd become or appeared to be because of this constant interrupting. And I didn't even realize it. Like, brain injury is so bad. You don't conceive the same way. You can't perceive the same way. I remember several people making me cry because they'd say, "Stop staring at me." And I wasn't staring, but it took me longer because of the delays in my brain and processing to take in what I was seeing. Your eyes are the first conceptual organ in your body, your vision. And then they would feel really bad when I say, "I'm not staring, I have a brain injury, sorry." But the interruption, I'm sorry I'm on a tangent again, but when you don't listen, you cut off, and it hurts deeply the people in your lives. And one of the things that you can do to start enhancing your listening skills is to listen to audiobooks or stop yourself. Like, have some kind of thing on your hand to remind you, when I'm in a conversation, am I allowing someone else to speak? Am I really listening? Think about when you went to say you had to go to the beauty shop or you went on an errand and you ran into friends. Step back after you leave that conversation and see if you heard anything they had to say, or were you the one blabbing the whole conversation? That's a really big key to tell you, gee, I better really hone up on my listening skills. When you do, you're going to have a lot better, deeper, closer, connected, and bonded relationships with your friends, your family, everyone, because people want to be heard. That's the biggest part of communication, is listening to what someone else. Think about when we first meet someone, and we'll put it in a romantic setting. What charges and supercharges the energetic particles in our body is the fact that we're learning something about somebody that we desire. And we do a lot of listening in that first year. But then after a while, we take each other for granted and we're not listening so much. So while this energy is so, and remember, we've got a lot of black and white issues facing us or being proposed to us, in the world right now because the sun is opposite. The beautiful sun Cancer that's delicate and thoughtful and caring and offers comfort and summertime fun is trying to be blackened out by nasty Pluto and all the death and all the disease and all the crime and all things black, dangerous and destructive. And then there's cold Saturn beside him saying, I don't care if you die all alone. Saturn is a lonely planet and it's cold, and that's what's happening in this pandemic. You die alone. You're not with your family. You're cold because of fever, but you're hot on the inside. Pluto's the fires of hell against that cold Saturn energy. So this containment that we're feeling right now is really normal. You don't want to go outside because you could die. You're afraid to talk to someone else or be with somebody else or meet new people or date or go, have social lives because we could literally die. And so I just want you to, instead of resisting what is, don't try to start new things. Don't beat yourself up if you don't yet know what your new career is going to be or a changed workplace or the way I don't think children should go to school, frankly. From my astrological studies and inquiries, I don't think school should be open in the fall. It's too soon. They're our most vulnerable population, our children, and their nature isn't conformed and cultured or called yet to behave without being impulsive or excited or wanting to touch and hug their little friends. That's the best part of childhood. They're learning to be friends and learning to be social, which involves hugging and touching and playing and skipping and touching. And I just don't think we can expect them to stay 6 feet apart and wash their hands or leave their mask on. It's too much to expect. Our children already are forced into being these miniature adults. And when you think about it, a 5-year-old child's only been alive for 60 months. That's nothing in the scheme of things. And yet we drag them around and expect them to be miniature adults when they haven't even seen the world outside of their homes, but for a little bit of school. So I don't really think that we should be sending the kids back in the fall. I think it's too soon. I'm a huge proponent of education. I think it should be free. I think free education, if you have the aptitude, makes your country stronger. Lets people, it's the behind the scenes cement blocks that build good, strong families and good, strong livelihoods so that we're not dependent. And I hope that that's coming around 2023, especially because grad school is so expensive. I pray that there are some changes so that that's accessible to everybody. That's my libertarian stance, and I'm 100% about education. And speaking of that, when I was talking about my own foundation, the reason my sun square Saturn was intercepted and my moon and Mercury, the way I speak and think, interception shows that your initial environment didn't support what you needed to become on the earth. So if I have a mom that didn't graduate high school and a dad that didn't graduate high school, I was the first member of my family to attend college for all the generations before me. And I graduated with honors, cum laude from high school. And this is a gift that God gives generationally. But the fact of the matter is, the people most influential who replaced what I wasn't getting at home were all of my teachers from kindergarten all the way through college, except for one. And she's the subject of that talk, Scrooge and Mrs. Johnson. And thank God for all of my teachers who sparked my imagination, who I couldn't wait to get out of bed, that I loved to study chemistry and I loved to study the health sciences and I loved to study the Middle Ages. and I did very well. But I didn't have an early, I mean, a PhD probably would have happened in my life, but Saturn made me wait. Love came first for me, so I fell in love and got married and had babies, and I had to piecemeal my education. And that's what Saturn does. He makes you wait. I couldn't have it all at once. Like, had I had parents that were PhDs or already professors, my decisions would have been different in life. I would have had people steering me and driving me differently and saying, no, this person's really nice and we're glad that you fell in love because that was a fated event. I met my husband at a birthday party when we were only teenagers. It was my grandfather's birthday on my mom's side of the family. And we fell in love right away, and it changed my whole life forever. And we ended up getting married and having babies. And um, so I just want you to know that Saturn will delay that, but he doesn't excuse that. You see, Alois Triendl's sun indicated fame, and he is famous, but he doesn't want you to know it. And unless people like me do videos like this, you don't think about who designed the software that you use or who made the car that you drive or who was the man behind this invention. That was Alois Triendl, and my hat is off to you. I love that site. I love those services, and I really liked the man. He was someone that I would have wanted to be friends with, but he lives in another continent. And so don't be afraid when you see Saturn. He's in all of our charts, and wherever he is, he's going to make you wait, and he's going to make things difficult, and he's going to be cold. He's going to throw his cold, icy glares at this area of your life. So I hope the moral of the story and video is about the soft, quiet times, being better listeners, appreciating people that are introverted, and appreciating people that have invented things like the internet and state-of-the-art equipment software that can calculate and make our lives so much easier. So you take care and enjoy this container of quiet time and a little bit of laziness, and try not to gossip. You'll be tempted to. And have a really nice summer and a really nice 2020 indoors, while the crazy of outdoors is getting cured. And it is. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.